Hi, it's Ivy Slater. Welcome to Slater Success Live today. Welcome back from MLK weekend. And for those of you who took a little that extra day, and it was a great holiday weekend, a little cold, and it's warming up here in the Northeast. I know you're coming in from a variety of different places to share with and join with me to have an amazing guest. Today, we have Katrina Adams. Katrina and I have been going back and forth. Truly, it's been so important to have her on the show for me. She's an amazing woman. Katrina's background, a little bit, is she's the executive director of the Harlem Junior Tennis and Education Program. She is also a board member at GSE Worldwide, an advisory board for Athletes Unlimited. She has spoken on tennis and had been involved in tennis in a variety of ways for many, many years now. Katrina, thank you for taking some time out today and joining me here today at Slater Success Live.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
And viewers, as you scroll through, feel free to make any comments, have the opportunity to ask Katrina any questions that might come to you, and have the opportunity to hear what she has to say. Katrina, so how did let's pull this back a little bit and look at the background lens. You got involved in tennis as a kid. It was a hobby.
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was 6 years old when I started. I was a tag along sister with my two older brothers. It was a summer program that was hosted by the Martin Luther King Jr. Boys Club. Every summer they had a different activity. That summer in 1975, it was tennis. And so my parents were teachers teaching summer school. I had to go where my brothers went. I had to beg for 2 weeks to get in the program because I was too young. It was for 9 to 18-year-olds. And I prevailed. I got in there and loved it from the first moment that I hit a ball, and was the most improved player at the end of that summer, and was able to continue to play. I had a coach that took me under his wing, and I like to say the rest is history.
And you did the pro circuit for a while.
Yeah, I played on the WTA tour for 12 years. I played at Northwestern University, won the NCAA doubles championship in 1986, and then turned pro. I'm sorry, 1987, turned pro in 1988. And, I had 12 successful years on the tour, and have stayed involved in the sport ever since.
So, so often when it's wonderful when our hobby becomes a passion, that passion becomes a career path. And it doesn't happen for many. And then after being pro, after going pro and having those 12 amazing years, how did you navigate your career forward from that point?
I've always been interested in learning more about the sport. So even when I was on the tour, I was on the WTA Players Board, then I was on the WTA Tour Board, which is a more executive board, and working with tournament directors and ITF and other business entities in our sport. And so because I always wanted to learn how it worked, and I wanted to see how I can make a difference going forward. When I retired, I was coaching. I went into commentating, and then I joined the USTA board as an elite athlete. We are the national governing body of tennis. An elite athlete is someone who's been retired from this competition within 10 years. I retired in 99. I joined the board in '05, stayed on the board for a few years in that capacity. And then when that exemption expired, then I had to actually join the board with the rest of the business people around the nation that were interested and had applied. And they brought me back. So I said, hey, they must see that I add value. And then I started to look at it from a different lens, and to the point where I wanted to be that leader. I wanted to be the one that was making the decisions. I wanted to be that person that could make a difference and really have a huge impact on our sport. And therefore I stayed into it, and ultimately became the president and chairman of the USTA.
So today, I know you travel. You travel enormously. You're at a variety of different tennis events globally every year. And when we were chatting a little before we went live, and you had a great comment. I was like, "Oh, how's the year kicking off?" It's like, kind of busy yet kind of slow. Can we look at what we're seeing in this concept of how we're kicking off 2022 in the sense of like, oh, at the beginning of 22, it's January, we have a lot on our plate, we're doing a lot, this, that, and the other thing. Yet there's things that are slowing us down. What is that going on in your world?
Well, it is the beginning of the year, and typically I've been down in Australia at the Australian Open this time of year, and I didn't go down for various reasons. Um, but I've been busy, busy trying to build my brand with my book on the arena. I've been busy getting my program, the Harlem Junior Tennis and Education Program, back from the holiday break. But yet I'm kind of slow because we're a couple weeks delayed due to the COVID testing for all the kids, to make sure everybody returns healthy, and being involved in different podcasts and webinars, on the business side of things.
So let's talk a little bit
So
about the
that's what
book.
busy and slow is like. Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about the book, Own the Arena. What drove you to start it to become an author? Let's see it. Let's see it, girl.
That's the book.
Own the arena.
Own the arena.
Oh, I love the red
Making a
dress.
difference in life. Thank you. Yeah, so the book was released the end of February of 2021. It was supposed to be released in July of 2020, but when the pandemic hit hard, no one was out shopping and traveling, and so they put a pause on it to be released last year. And so, for me, it's a book. It's a leadership book, and I use all of my life skills and experiences from being a tennis player and on the business side of things to talk about how one can own their arena. The arena can be anywhere. It can be your office. It can be your home, be your living room. It can be whatever that space is that you're occupying. That's your arena, and how you address it, how you walk into a room, a business room, into a meeting, into a cocktail reception, whatever that is your arena, and how you present yourself and how you go in with that confidence, really, and exerting that energy, really exemplifies who you are, and what you represent. And too often we are we are invited to meeting to sit at the table, and we go in and we sit in the back and we're quiet. And I'm like, look, you were invited to the table for a reason. People value your input, your knowledge. They want to hear from you. Doesn't mean you're going to go in and take over the meeting, but when you're approached, make sure that you are prepared to talk about whatever that topic may be. Own the table. That's what you want to do. But we have to own our courage in order to build up the courage to go in and speak and be knowledgeable. We have to own our voice so that we can use it. And as women and people of color, we need to own our identity, understand who we are and what we do bring to the table, what we do bring to that conversation, what we do bring to that meeting, and so that we can be productive and be successful on the back end.
I love it. And what you're talking about is so important. Is so, so important. Um, I know, in my background of being a dancer, in my book From the Bar to the Boardroom, and it's bar as in BARRE. The second you start talking about it, I have my visual images of if you're in a dance studio back in the day and a piece of choreography was not working for the dancers, speaking up in the same way when in 20 years in a press room and I'd be the only woman speaking up. And it's slowly but surely owning that inner confidence and believing that you belong, that you are invited in and you belong, that you are an equal member, if not smarter than the others.
Exactly. Exactly.
And they invited you because they need you.
Yes, and I think it's all the life lessons that we encounter, the ups and downs, the wins and the losses, and understanding who your supporters are, who your village is, who your network is, that can help you every step of the way. And so, as a tennis player and as a dancer, we're individuals in our sport, but you ultimately are working with other people to become a team. Yours are the other dancers that are choreographed in that particular performance, mine would be my coach and physio or whoever that might be to make sure that I'm in the best shape possible to go out and play that match. But you still have to own, own your direction and own your goals so that you can go after them.
And I love that, own your goals so you go after them. And in looking back in January, and it's starting wonderfully, yet with a little bit of taking a breath. We did have, the pandemic kind of rise a little bit, and it's keeping the kids on a slower basis and getting back to their activities, which keeps the business parents sometimes a little bit scrambling or a little slower in getting back to their 100% office. But it doesn't stop our goals from moving forward. We could look at it as taking a breath and being present in the moment of where we are and continue to step forward every day. Tara's jumping in. I would love to know more about your book writing process. So Tara's also an author. How long did it take? Did you start with an outline? So share a little bit. You were published by HarperCollins, I believe?
Yes, HarperCollins under the Amistad Books imprint. I started with, actually I had a collaborator because I didn't know what I was doing about writing a book. So I did need to get someone to help guide me. We worked on the outline, for the proposal for the book. And once it was accepted by the publisher, then we further advanced the outline and started working on the topics that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to address. I kind of look at the book as, if you watch the television, that this is us.
Yeah.
You start off in the present and then you go back and reflect on what prepared you for that moment that I'm talking about. And so I kind of do a lot of back and forth in the book that I felt was interesting and more intriguing for those that want to read it, but focusing more on the leadership part of it, because I think in particular for women and people of color, it's really important to really go deep into the stories that I share of my own experiences as being the only one in the room. And when I'm the only one, I'm either the only woman or the only person of color that I'm referencing, mostly at a board table, more so than an actual full room of people. But it's still about the experiences. So the process was really the outline, the stories that I wanted to tell, and the people that I wanted to bring into the fold of the storyline. Because for me, I know I didn't get here by myself. There are a lot of shoulders that I stood on, and I recognize many of these people in the book in one way or the other. And it was about doing some deep memory thinking on some of those situations, or actually reaching out to those people to hear it from their perspective.
Tara also is asking, what surprised you about in the journey of writing?
I think, obviously anytime you have to go back in memory and reflect, things that you probably hadn't thought about for decades, for many years, and experiences that you either tucked underneath the rug or put them in a box that started to come back out because you started to think about different situations. And so those are the things that for me, are very touching, sometimes emotional in the process, but exciting and rewarding at the end.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And I think one of the greatest assets is to have a collaborator that helps ask the questions that jogs the memory.
Yeah, I had a great collaborator, great communicator, understood me, was able to reflect my voice and really pull things out that I didn't think were there or didn't even know that were there. And I think that was one of the biggest assets that I had in having a collaborator.
So share a little bit about being the executive director of the Harlem Junior Tennis and Education Program.
Yeah, so we are
a little bit.
Yeah, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary of the program. I've been there 16 years. It's a program similar to one that I grew up in Chicago, inner city program that really focuses on tennis and education, using tennis as a vehicle for these youth to earn a college scholarship, whether it's through academics or tennis, but really being able to give them the life skills that are necessary to succeed in life. Our sport is an individual sport. You're going out, you're learning how to be disciplined, you're learning how to manage your time, you're building your self esteem, your self confidence, you're learning how to be resilient, dealing with adversity, all the things that we deal with in everyday life
Yeah.
as an adult, and particularly in work. And so, many tennis players or people that you meet that say, hey, they grew up playing tennis, they know how to be individually focused, but they also know how to collaborate and work together. They don't like to lose and they love to win. And so it's a great combination. But this is a program that continues to shine year after year. Our students are going anywhere from the Ivy Leagues down to community college and everywhere in between. And it doesn't matter where they go. For us, depending on their background, it's a success story. Over the years, we've had many of these kids to be the first one to go to college or graduate from college. And so, we are a year-round program. We have an after-school program during the school year. We do a summer camp in the summer, and we are supporting our kids with low cost because we are applying for grants. We have fundraisers. We get individual donations. So if anyone wants to support us, please send it our way. You can go to our website, hjtep.org.
And there are a lot of tennis players out there who could be doing this.
Absolutely. Well, it's really about kids. If you really want to help develop
it's about kids. And into exposure, we so often find when you've had a background in something, you're more inclined to support that background. So no, I'm not calling out only the tennis players should support this, but those who feel an alignment, in helping kids advance in their lives. When you say, these kids are their first generation going to college. I was first generation going to college.
There you go.
My grandfather was a house painter. My other grandfather was an entrepreneur who literally rode the trains back in the 20s and, sold at carnivals across the country.
Right.
It's what we see as, oh yeah, you go to college is not to be taken for granted. Mm-hmm. And when we help young people get the education and get the discipline and the focus and the drive, and that whole package is so massive. So whether, Katrina and I were just talking about Florida a few minutes before we went live, and I was recently in Florida visiting some family. And I'm not a big tennis player. My husband was a tennis player, and here all of a sudden is we're on a pickleball court as adults of this era and the trend now. There's so many people who have an alignment in various backgrounds that see how you can give to the young people and help them develop different loves and hobbies. Like Katrina, it has become your lifelong career, which is beautiful. For me, dance is an asset of helping the businesswoman I've become, but give that gift forward to the young.
Absolutely.
So it was my plea, not yours.
No, it's good. Thank you.
So I also have to talk about, and we didn't prep on this at all, but the way we were connected, a strong belief of mine is the relationships we build in our careers and in our lives and how important they are. What would have been some of the impactful relationships if you have seen, you're on a variety of boards, you're executive director of Harlem Tennis and Education, you're still involved in so much of the tennis federation, and now being an author and doing book tours across the country, as well as the travel globally that you do for tennis. What are some of the relationships that you have seen that have been important to you and see the value of keeping up relationships? What have you learned about that?
Well, I think relationships are the key to success. It's about networking. It's about recognizing that the people that you meet, that you have something in common with, or that you share a like mind of something. And those are the people that you really want to continue to communicate with, because you never know what can come out of that, or how you can help them, or how they can help you going forward with any particular subject or area. And so in my global travels, I've met some amazing people. I have kept in touch with them, and, because I never know when I'm going to need them or they're going to need me coming down the road. I think networking is critical. You need to own your network and understanding where it is that you're trying to go and who can help you get there. And it's not about being selfish and looking for that person that can help you get there, but it's finding that person or individuals that are going to help you grow and develop and mature in spaces that you may not have had access to. And so I utilize those on in many of the boards that I do sit on or advisory boards because they're in spaces and arenas that I have not frequented so much. Tennis is it, but it's business. Tennis is business.
Yep.
So therefore I can bring that business acumen to other areas and present things very differently than those other people with like minds in those spaces. And so that's where my growth and my development continues to rise, and I'm just fortunate that I do have the ability to sit on these boards. Again, maybe the only woman in the room, but you got to start somewhere. We have to have one woman in order to have two or three or four.
Right.
And so I'm okay being that individual that's leading the group to come behind me, as long as I can go in and be prepared and hold down my weight, then I know I'm opening up the doors for others to come behind me.
And viewers, if you have any questions or comments, how is this resonating for you? What have you done in developing your leadership? What books are on your reading list, other than, of course, Katrina's, Own the Arena this year? That is now on your leadership reading list for this year. And I know it's on mine. I'm looking forward to it. Viewers, let us know what is on your reading list this year. What is impacting you in our conversation today? And if you have any questions. Before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about what you see navigating forward. So we have business has been evolving in the last couple of years. We're not traveling necessarily as much. I think probably pre-pandemic me getting you on a video chat would have been a very, very difficult because you were traveling so much. And what do you see coming forward in business, in the boards you're sitting on, in the business that you're involved in?
Well, it is about the streaming that we're doing and the video conferences that we're doing. I think we're being more productive and getting more done because we're not wasting time traveling. And so, that is definitely evolving. We're understanding how impactful that is. Now, it is still critical to have face-to-face meetings because, it's easier to interrupt each other in a room and looking at them than trying to jump in on a video. But it is about the AI, artificial intelligence, and how that is impactful in your business, how technology continues to evolve, and how we need to use it in our various businesses to keep us elevated and keep us on par with other companies. And so I think those are the biggest things that we're doing. We're also learning how to be more efficient and how to utilize our dollars and stretch our dollars further, because perhaps maybe our traveling budgets aren't as extensive as they used to be. Because just think about it. We used to fly all over the world for a 2-3 hour meeting and turn around and come back, fly all over the nation, wherever that might be. And that's value added by staying at home and having a conversation like this and being able to use those dollars towards growing your business in other areas.
I love that. And it is so true. And I think we're at an amazing point in business and in leadership as we are on a growth. Some of us might have been alive from the industrial revolution, the technical revolution, and a few others, in looking at where we're going and the impact this will have on the growth of business in the future and the new ways we're doing things is very exciting.
Absolutely. It's allowing us to be a little more strategic in how we address our companies.
So, Katrina, what is up next for you? You've been doing a lot of book touring, I know, with some adjusting schedules along the way.
Yeah, I'm not doing those right now. I did have to cancel a few that were supposed to be in January and February due to the pandemic. But I'm doing a lot of Zooms and webinars with people to talk about the book, etc. Right now, for me, it's our kids in the program. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary, so we're hoping to have a big gala in June and create other activities for our students, families, donors alike, to bring more awareness to what we're doing and continuing to grow. And for me, also just getting more involved in the new companies that I'm now on their board, and learning more about them and figuring out how I can be impactful.
Well, thank you so much for joining me here today. And viewers, if you've not gotten it yet, Own the Arena is check it out on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Katrina Adams. Any other ways where our list viewers can be checking you out that I don't know
Yeah,
about?
no, you can just go to my website, and then you can click on any store that you want. So it's KatrinaMAdams.com. M is for Michelle, so KatrinaMAdams.com, and hit purchase now, and it'll take you to 5 or 6 different stores, and you can choose from there.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And a big shout out to Bess, who put us together. The power of the network. When I was looking for some new people putting into the 2022, I reached out on LinkedIn and reached out to my network, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm looking for. And through that, I had the pleasure of meeting Katrina. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, the power of your network and to reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ivy. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you. And Matthew is excited to hear the replay. He's going to be jumping in. Remember, viewers, and Katrina, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
Viewers, as you know, you can continue to share this stream forward. What made an impact to you today? Share forward to your network. Continue to post comments and questions. I'll be having my eye on this, as well as Katrina. And mark your calendars for next Monday, January 24th at 5 p.m., where I'm going to be interviewing Dorothy Martin Neville on leadership and health in the alignment. It is going to be a great conversation. Dorothy is a dear colleague and friend over the years, and a brilliant woman with an amazing background. So thank you for joining me. Until next time, thank you from Slater Success Live.